today.
The Bliss Business Podcast, the show about empathy, connection, and consciousness in business. Today's episode is brought to you by Zero Company, your paid search, social media, and programmatic ad experts.
Welcome back to the show, everyone. I'm Steven Sakash, once again with my co-host Tulio Saragusa, and we've got a special guest today who we'll introduce in a moment. So for many founders, the pressure to grow can feel overwhelming. You know, they're asked to move fast, raise capital, win customers, hire teams, build products, prove that the market is ready. But for mission-driven founders, there is an added responsibility, building companies that not only generate value, but also address real human and societal challenges. And today, we're exploring profit and social responsibility in mission-driven startups. And we're going to talk about venture capital, founder coaching, hopefully some economic mobility, healthcare, climate, all these things, and what it takes to scale companies that are both commercially strong and socially meaningful. Tulio, introduce our special guest today.
I'm very excited about our guest today. I'm looking forward to speaking with Mike Ma. He's the managing partner and head coach at Sidecut Ventures. Mike invests in and coaches early stage mission-driven founders tackling challenges in economic mobility, healthcare, climate, and education. He describes these founders as coachable superheroes, and Sidecut Ventures is built around a coach-first, capital-second model. Mike brings experience from Fortune 500 companies, including Bank of America and Vanguard, as well as venture-backed leadership experience with companies such as Betterment and Own Up. He has also served in venture and accelerator leadership roles, including launching fintech initiatives and programs. Beyond investing, Mike is also an adaptive snow sports instructor and former member of PSIA ASI. I hope I did that justice.
That was good. Well done.
National Adaptive Team, where he trained instructors to teach people of all abilities how to ski and snowboard. So, Mike, welcome to the Bliss Business Podcast. After the show, I have to tell you a little ski accident I wanted. So I had one of the people you train help me out. Anyway, great to have you on the show today.
It's an honor to be here. I'm so excited for our chat. And we'll make sure you finish your next ski episode upright. I'm excited to be here, guys. Thanks for having me on.
So Mike, today we're talking about how to balance kind of profit and social responsibility. So in your work with mission-driven founders, how do you help them hold both of those priorities kind of at the same time?
You know, it is nice being an investor. So we screen for it, right? We do it from the jump. So if you go on Sidecut's site, we ask all and you go to the pitch us section, you'll find all the questions that most VCs ask, but we do ask two weird ones. And the first one is, and we read them. We actually read them organically, not AI. The first one is, tell me about the best coach or teacher you ever had and why. And the second one, and we phrase it this way very intentionally, describe in your own words what evil you're fighting. And so I have the luxury of somebody's burden of selecting for it from the jump. And if you don't have a good answer for them, then I'm probably not interested. So that is sort of the first thing that we get to look at. And then the second thing is we work with you. Words are one thing. We work with you before we invest. So it's nice to have a nice mission and talk, but we really are interested if you can walk the walk. And we self-select for that up front. We tell people we're not a fast check. We're not going to do something quick. We won't invest. We won't break our thesis for anybody. And we just put it up front. It's one of the, having been a founder and now on the capital side, it is one of the nice things about it that hopefully if they get through our front door, they know what the house they're trying to knock into is. But I think it's different if you're in the world without that constraint. I'm not going to lie. It's much tougher to do both of them.
Yeah. Now, you talk about investing in coachable superheroes. I love that, by the way.
Thank you.
What makes a founder both mission driven and coachable? What are the telltale signs that they're both?
I think one, when you get the fact it's a calling, and there's you have to suss that out, right? There's some people you have to squint to see if they get the mission driven aspect of it, and they have. I mean, like, look, I it wasn't for this. Behind me is our quotes from one of the customers of one of my portfolio companies, Wiggle Room. Wiggle Room makes software for daycare owner operators. And the founder, Jamie Jin, has lived her life in daycares. Her mom was a daycare owner. She grew up around this. She was New York City's daycare czar during COVID. So all 311 calls went to her phone during COVID, and she cares so much about this. She spends time in the trenches. That is someone where it's a calling, and it's very clear, not just a narrative, but the second is act. And that gets to the aspect of coachable, which is, we have a very nuanced version of what coachable means at Sidecut. And it's constantly in refinement. The best answer we have, it's call it action-oriented self-awareness. So to put some plain speak to all this mumbo jumbo, to get back to your question, what makes them mission driven and coachable, is that in the 30 days we work with them, action-oriented self-awareness means that they actually need to understand where they are in the world, and they're trying to do something impossible. And then they need to do something with that information. There's a lot of founders who will say yes and provide information during the due diligence process. Oh, here's a doc. Here's someone you can talk to. Here's a reference. Here's our pro forma. I care about those things, but what I really care about is, like, what have you done in the course of our time? Like, that you actually gone and done something in the field with people. As marketers, like, you have to appreciate, I'm a recovering marketer, that you have to be in the field. And to me, that's what it means to be mission driven and coachable. Like, to use a euphemism, it's call and answer. Like, it has to be a calling, not a job. And second, it needs to be answered. Like, and you need to answer with your feet, not your mouth. And those are the things that we look for in our version of what coachable superheroes means.
You talked a little bit about kind of the walking that walk and being able to really suss that out once you're involved. What are some of the ways you kind of evaluate so that their mission really is authentic? How do you get in under the hood there and look around once everything's going?
And Mike, really quick, I want to add to that. Remember, have you seen that show Silicon Valley that HBO had?
Yeah, a lot. Like, it's trauma.
You remember one of the first episode, every founder was like, "We're here to change the world, here to change the world." It was like the cliche thing to say in Silicon Valley. So I'm really curious, this question that Steven has asked, like, how do you sniff out what's real?
Yeah, and you get it, right? Like, if I don't have an answer, there's no formula, there's no AI chat for this. This is one of the blessings and curses around this. People always want to know what's the secret, what's the formula. I don't have one. My formula is to spend time. And what I can tell you about a process. But you're right. Everyone sounds like they're full of it until you actually see them. And this is my thesis, right? Like, this is a reason why reality shows have their place in the world. This is kind of like a reality show. You can fake your way. We invest pre-seed. You can fake your way through 2 meetings, a deck, and a bunch of customer references you made up from your uncle's lacrosse coach, former neighbor, owns customer, and I can't track it on LinkedIn.
Sounds like an admission, Mike.
Well, it's true, but this is what most people use as diligence at pre-seed. But, like, what's really hard to fake your way through, gents, and you guys have built businesses? It's watching you grow your business. And in our 30 days, we push our founders to the hilt of what their capacity is on the go-to-market side of it. I'm not the best technical. I have a CTO. Last time I as marketers, you'll appreciate it. Last time I checked in code, they're like, you should try marketing. Although these days I can check in code, which should scare everybody, but not in our younger times. But back on message, you know, you just have to watch them. The answer is time. There is no LLM, there's no inference, there's no history. Like, to watch them go through the process and struggle. And in the 30 days, like any other, like I'm pushing founders to the end of what they can do. I mean, Jamie, didn't I pushed her. I was like, why aren't you pre-selling your product? And she's like, well, I know the requirements. And Bill's like, okay, well, I'm out. And through every single one of my 30 days, we've had some notion of conflict in a friendly way. And it's through that conflict, through that sort of crucible of iron sharpening iron, that's when you get to see people who are missionaries versus mercenaries. And I don't have a formula. Like, I mean, people are looking for this magic sauce. Like, here's my 8 factors, score 6 of them, you're in. Like, it doesn't work that way, at least not for me.
Yeah,
the goal is I want to see you grow your business. I'm going to push you. And in the times of stress, people show their colors, and hopefully the stress is constructive, not just some stupid mind game I'm trying to play with founders.
And I think there are some broad strokes that I always think about, you know, that are kind of my values, but that you maybe want to suss out, because it does go to that thought of coachable superheroes. But to me, it's like really a couple things. It's humility, like, right, your openness, another way to put that. So that goes to the coachable for sure. But then the other side of it is consciously, where are you in proximity to love, is what I always say.
Yeah.
As a person. And if you can kind of suss those two things out in some way or another, like you said, what's the formula for that? But you know, maybe there is, but it's getting to know someone, and through thick and thin, right? Through, like you said, through the 30 days, through little pushing and getting pushback, and just seeing how they operate on those levels, I think is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, like, look, I didn't put this up for this. This is part of our decoration. These quotes are from Wiggle Room's daycare operators, and Jamie Jin made them to send as notes to other daycare operators. And just reading them, like, you are worthy, you're everything that is right in this world. Like, these are notes from one of a Wiggle Room customer to another Wiggle Room customer. And I think that, I mean, in addition, she's a killer. Like, so all the left brain bona fides around, like, you know, revenue that goes up like this. But for someone to do this exercise as a growth experiment, and then also give this to her investor, like, I don't know, it looks like this, like, yeah. And it looks like this. And this is the left brain and the right brain, the head and the heart working together, to your point about love. And love is a growth strategy. And we catch a lot of shade sometimes in the investing circle for being impact investors. I'm unapologetic about it. What LP told me is like, hide your no. So don't say that. Say we invest in these areas. I'm like, nope, don't care. It's like, it's a faster note. It's a faster note. Great. Saves me time, because I want this. Mm-hmm. I want this.
I think that's part of the problem, Mike, is there's a severe lack of empathy in the VC circles. So founders show up, they feel like they have to know everything. So you don't really see the real picture. Like, it's almost frowned upon to say, I don't know. Like you're saying, I don't know. I don't have the formula, but we're going to figure it out, right? So I think they put so much pressure on themselves to show up like they've got it all buttoned up. And then most investors like, yeah, I'm not going to invest in that guy or that. They're not coachable. It's like, on one end, you want them to have all the answers. On the other hand, you penalize them if they show up too humble. You can't win. It's a really weird dynamic that happens. And I think it's just a lack of just being human through this process, you know, which is what I admire about you guys. What do you think?
It reminds me of something of one. we made an investment in a climate company called Elastic Energy. distributed energy orchestration for smart grid management. These words mean nothing to you, and I can talk about it. My point is not to talk about the company, although we can. It's more our process. Our process was getting these technical engineers to learn to sell. And that was our remit for the 30 days. And I asked him, we walked him through this idea of how to do deal-based probabilities and pipeline management, and all the way down to like, and Ben, if you're listening, it's like, hey, I'd like to practice how to sell at a bar, talking to another CEO over a beer. I'm like, cool, let's do it. We're on Zoom. Go to your fridge, open a beer. We're going to do a Zoom. Anyways, to talk about this notion of humility, he finished the sales trip where we did said beer practice. And I'm like, hey, Ben, I sent him a Slack. All of our founders on our Slack or some sort of asynchronous communication. Like, how was the trip? How was the sales trip? And he's like, it was terrible, blah, blah, blah. Like this didn't happen. This didn't happen. I cut my probability from, 750 to like 650,000. And then he slacks back later. It's like 550. I was wrong. And then he slacks 1 minute later. I can't believe I just told a VC I'm trying to get capital from that I cut my pipeline by like a third. And I wrote, Ben, that's exactly why I'm going to write this check. Because now I know, how hard this is. And now when we have a conversation about sales or marketing, you're not going to BS me. Or if you do, you're not going to try and you're not going to, how hard this is. And I said, like, I've known your sales are BS, right? There's no way, he came with a very large pipeline. It's like, this is how large a pipeline. I was like, really? Because if this is your pipeline, is this big? Why are you talking to me for a $200,000 check?
Yeah.
Like, whoa. So my point on this humility was that's the story that I think about in my head is like, this humility is the point, which is, I don't expect things to go like I've been a founder. It's supposed to be hard. And anyone who tells me you're killing it all the time, maybe I'm just too old or too jaded or too much of a Cleveland Browns fan. I don't believe you. Like, so it's just, it's not realistic. And that's just not what I get behind. When you show me the understanding of the vulnerability, then I understand it. And to be frank, as a VC, to my other investors out there, I always say, I tell my team, and there's someone who's here, like, there is no such thing as a perfect deal. There is no such thing. If we haven't found the risk, we have not done our job. We have not done our job. Every deal has risk until we understand it. And vulnerability is a turbocharge accelerant to get to that risk. So I don't have to guess, right? And guess what the vulnerabilities are, guess what the risks are. They just tell me, and that makes sense. And the risk is clear. Like, these are technical founders who are learning how to sell. Okay, cool. You see this, I see this. We can proceed like a marriage, right? And I actually say this, like, early stage investing is like a marriage. The average marriage actually, you guys know this. You know how long the average marriage is in the US?
It's probably a sad statistic.
I'll say 5 years. I have no idea.
8.6.
8.6. I knew it was something low like that. Yeah.
And I was like, I'm on your cap table for at least that, like 8 years, 10. So
yeah,
why don't we go on a real date for a month? You like me, I like you. We work on the same things together. And this way we don't have to, let's not BS each other and then look at each other in 2031 and say, oh my God, I hate you. Like, I hate you. If only I knew.
Yeah.
One of the things on this show we like to talk about, well, Bliss for us, it stands for build, love into scalable systems. So it's part of, I think, growth. I love that. Yeah, I think it's an important part of growth, I think, because when you're starting to speed and you're starting to build these systems, right? And a lot of times what gets left out is culture sometimes. It just gets crushed by those, right? But what really gets left out is just that human side of these systems is how can we prompt us to, instead of have random acts of kindness, have these prompted, repeatable, scalable acts of kindness in a way throughout your business, whether it's with your team or with your customers. For early stage founders, when they're going through this, how do you help them scale impact without losing sight of the people they set out to serve?
Yeah, I mean, and this is an area of refinement. I mean, ultimately, ideally, they're aware the more revenue they generate, the more impact they create, right? So we always ask people like, let's think about things in, number of jobs created or amount of CO2 saved. And the good founders have that built in to the model where they understand it themselves. But it's a process. And I think you're exactly right. It's understanding the system by which they do that. And sometimes founders lose track of that, right? And it's so easy to get caught up in revenue. One of my angel portfolio companies, I'll keep them nameless, we had this discussion, which was this, revenue is not traction. Sometimes you can chase revenue to the detriment of real traction. And that means a lot of different things. One of the big things that rears its multi-head is ugly head is around impact and losing the fact. And this is the danger of once you raise a little bit of capital, that you feel like you have to feed the beast and think about ARR, MRR, and go to the next thing. But sometimes you especially at early stages, and public companies make this problem. And it's scary when you see in early stage privates that you're chasing not a quarterly report, but a yearly report back to the venture market. And you sometimes have to remind the founders, like, just remember, I wrote you this check to change the world, not to reach 1.1 million in ARR. And sometimes there's a fissure between them. And those are the things you try and figure out, hopefully, in your discussion with the founders and how they're thinking about the learning, right? Do we continue to build a product that people will, and it typically presents like this, and we can move on because maybe I'm just talking too much in which is, do you want to change, and I see it typically with early stage founders, and they want to chase logos. Hey, let's get a Fortune 500 logo and it looks good. It'll be a small check, but it's a great external signal. Or we can do things in small, medium business that shows like faster traction, higher customer love, maybe some lower revenue, but the use case we've designed for. So revenue, you'll go through a J curve. Those are important questions to work through. Revenue is not always traction. Impact is a big aspect of differentiating that. And my theory about this, and back to the title of your pod, I think if you can spend some time at the bottom of this curve where you may fall behind like the left brain rational revenue optimization game, thinking about love and building systems that codify things until they're obvious, like that's when things turn around. Sorry, I'll give a quick shout because I'm reading about this right now. Do you guys read Eric Ries's new book? Eric Ries, lean startup guy.
Yeah, I haven't read it.
We all know who he is, right?
Yeah.
He wrote his new book is called Incorruptible. And it's asking the systems like what makes companies long-term sustainable around customer love. It's very much in line with your thesis. So he looks at like Costco and Vanguard, which I used to work at, and Patagonia versus some of their analogs. And I think that's where the good stuff is. When you can find founders. And I love doing it at the pre-seed level. The wrong founder to me is like, hey, we'll make our money and then we'll set up the systems for success once we have money. That's the wrong way to do it.
Yeah.
It needs to be built in from the DNA at ground zero. And that's that's something I think you can't get on spreadsheet. And that's why I like spending. That's why I've structured our process to spend those 30 days to understand that.
we often talk about the role of purpose, and what you're doing is very purposeful. Before we go into that, I want to dig a little bit into. You often will hear founders talk about we need smart money, right? So that's like an investor that can make connections, that can introduce and create opportunities. Then they're like, we need strategic money. That's potentially an investor who could be a strategic partner or even an acquirer, right? So in your model, because really you start by what you call let's date for a month. That's the coaching period. That's the place where that relationship, that trust is established. How does that come into that model that traditionally has been smart money or strategic money? What do you call that? And then also I'm interested in, when do you know when to let the founder lead and when to kind of step back and give advice? How do you balance that out? And
sure. So the first question is like, what do you call that model in terms of like, I mean, we call it, well, I'll say the way we talk about it. If you ask anyone, and I have four people work for me at Sidecut in a full-time, part-time capacity, is if you want to be a good partner, and just say, what's the answer? And they should all answer in unison, go first. So that's what we do from that perspective of this isn't my stat. This is Forward Partner stat. Like 92% of venture capitalists say they do value add stuff. 61% of founders says it sucks. So our view is like, we'll go first. You don't like our advice and the way we work? Don't take our money. It's totally cool. I don't want a dime. I don't want a warrant. I don't want a single share of common. I just want your time. So that's what we call it. We call it go first. And we try and live it. And there will come a day. I think someone could take our advice, tell us to bug off and go do something else. I'm still waiting for that day to come. It hasn't happened yet, but that's what we call it. We call it go first.
I like it. It's strategic money, and this is go first money. There you go. I love it.
Because people are full of it. Like, how do you know? It's like, and again, another thing is like, don't tell me, show me. It's like, okay, I'll show you. This is my love letter to founders. It is what I wish I had when I was a founder, or wish when I was an executive still in the game with boots on the ground. I think like, this may be crazy if my LPs are listening. I think VC capital as like servant leadership. Sidecut, I want to build Sidecut to be a temple to founders. It is a temple to a founder. I don't want anything other than your time. We reward good work. I don't care about sector. I care about you doing good things in the world. I don't care if you went to Harvard. I don't care if you went to Meta. I don't care if you I just want killers for good. However you get here. Yes, if you have those pedigrees, like the NFL draft, you probably will get an invite to camp. But once you're here, I'm trying to build the best meritocracy on it I possibly can. And I want to serve founders. Yeah.
It's beautiful to watch. I mean, I've got some Harvard graduate friends who've chosen the more philanthropical route in their life, and they've gotten slack from their classmates. Like, why did you invest in such an education to go waste it on something? It's like, no, this is a purposeful way of living. So let's talk a little bit about, speaking of purpose, how is your adaptive snow sports instructor background? That's a pretty powerful part of your story. How you train instructors to teach individuals all kinds of ability for how to ski and snowboard. How has that experience shaped the way you look at coaching founders, instructing founders?
Yeah, I think two things. So people don't know, like, adaptive means people with a disability. 1 in 4 people in the United States are diagnosed with disability. My dad joke is the other 3 in 4 were just undiagnosed. And so I spend a lot of time with this. I think the biggest thing I think through what I do on snow, I think 2 things. 1, I want to meet people where they are. And when we do coaching, I don't care about like there's a right way to ski or a right way to, okay, you twist your ankles. Like, well, I'm above the knee amputee. Don't have one. Okay, well, we'll figure it out. We can figure it out. I know enough about this. You bring the will, I'll bring the knowledge, and we'll figure this out. And I think it just unlocks like potential in completely asymmetric, unconventional ways. And that is investing. That's what investing is. Unlikely outcomes that generate alpha. I think also too, it's like being on a hill for the first time is like scary, and you don't know what you're doing, and but you can get through it. And I think this idea of building ability to push through for unexpected outcomes is one aspect of it. I think the other aspect of it, and maybe we didn't talk about this before, I'm also, in addition to being an instructor, I'm an examiner for our association. So I go around the country and I deliver tests to instructors at your local ski hill. And we work really hard and incredibly hard at reducing bias. And so we have a whole system to evaluate people's technical skills, people skills, and teaching. Yes, people skills and teaching skills. And we work really hard at it. And when I translate that experience, and it is a diet of the mind to do this, to what I do in venture, I try and apply the same principles to my 30 days. Like, I don't want to invest in vibes. I don't want to invest in this. I want to invest in performance. And it is, I'm human. It is a diet of the mind and a real hard exercise to be able to do that. And I rely on my time as an examiner to do that. Like, I want every candidate who comes to my exam to be successful. Gosh, I want it. At the same time, for my level 3, I failed like 60% of the staff. And these are people who giving up their time, who want to do good things for the adaptive, but I have a standard to hold, and it sucks to tell them that they can't make it and they have to try, they have another opportunity to be successful. Just like it sucks to tell a founder with love, I'm sorry, we spent 30 days in the foxhole together. I can't go on the next step of the journey with you, even though I think what you're building is beautiful in the world. So those are the two ways that experience on snow informs what I do. What I do on my snowboard informs what I do behind my keyboard.
All right, we've got an audience question. Let's go ahead and pull that up here. So LinkedIn user, how do we make sure new hires care about the mission, not just the startup hype?
Yeah, I do the same thing. Like, here's my answer for this. Like, is I don't believe in anything anyone says. I believe in what people do. So when my founders ask me about hiring, it's like, bring them on, like, and see what they do. A lot of my friends work. I have a couple friends who are chefs in hospitality. And if you want to work in a top kitchen, what they say is, what they do? It's like, you want to work at this Michelin star? It's like, great. Here's a box of artichokes. Let me know when you're done. Peel them into. So my view on this is, I don't know the answer. What I would encourage you to do, if labor laws and your ability to have them do it, and work with them, try before you buy, moonlight, and see if they can peel the potatoes with love, with mission, with purpose, with gusto. I think people say a lot of things, and it's not even malicious. Sometimes it's the confluence of the mission in your particular vehicle. It's not a fit. Historical interviews, as if anyone's HR person, like, are incredibly poor predictors of long-term success. So my view is, like, don't tell me, show me. Like, just go do it. And there has to be a way to test people's actions in situ. That's the best way that you can see, taste, and feel at, versus try and read it or get it off a reference, which you should still do those things. But I always think those are necessary, but not sufficient to get what the listener is asking about.
Yeah, and sometimes I think you feel it right away. Once you're in the middle of it, you can suss that out pretty quickly, the reality there of how authentic something is. So, Micah, on this show, we often ask some form of this question. And it's, what role should love play in business?
I think it's at the center of it. I mean, look, I think love should be at the center part of every thesis, every decision in some sort of way. And I'm not saying to be full kumbaya, like not care about profit, but there's a way of loving your customers and loving your investors. But I think there's not enough of it. So to me, it should be a central thesis of why you exist. And I think the litmus test for this is when it's ambiguous. Like when I was in a previous job of one of my large corporate entities, we finished, we did the whole financial analysis of doesn't matter, go left or go right. I'll just kind of leave it at that without. And then we just asked like, well, in corporate world, the last question we asked like, well, what's the right thing to do? And that was corporate America. I would love to, I think that's a good thing. If you have enough moral compass and love compass to be able to discern that. I think a lot of people don't even have that. Like, I don't know. I mean, they may be held at an individual level, but not at a company level. So I think that's where it needs to be held. And then secondly, I think aspirationally, I would love if that were flipped. What if you designed the constraints around business and love was not a secondary or tertiary selection criteria, but what if it was the primary criteria? And then all the metrics, followed in kind. And to be honest, that's Sidecut. Like I'm not all the way through Eric Ries's book, but the chapter I'm currently on is called Hard is Easy. And what we're doing is hard. We're setting up those constraints. 30 days, impact. No, we won't compromise. It's hard, but actually it's made it easier. And I have a belief, I don't know if I'm right, but I'm certainly betting with my own money on this and my own time and the heartbeats of my life on it, that I think we should flip it. Love, and there's this idea of like secondary screening, like or screening for impact. I think instead of being a secondary, tertiary criteria, it should be the primary. And then the financials should be secondary and tertiary. And that's a very dangerous thing to say. And secondary, tertiary doesn't mean not important. It just means order of question, not importance of question. So that's my hope. That's my dream. I don't know if I'm crazy enough for it.
I don't think you're, I don't think you're crazy at all. I think that's eventually where it's going to get to eventually. And by eventually, we're talking, maybe 100 years from now or something, where most businesses, I think, because consciousness and the gravity of love, I would say, is pulling us along this path to some point where where it will be flipped, because that's what people want. And
it's too exhausting otherwise. I mean, everybody's tired of this duplicitous way of being. It's like we all desire connection and love and vulnerability, but then we have to play this persona and put on this mask, and everybody's getting tired of it. And the newer generation, they don't care for it. So,
agreed. And you know what's cool about the world of AI on this, and this idea of like information arbitrage, and like me being able to do more than you or smarter than you used to be a differentiator. Actually, it led to some of that stuff. Now it doesn't. Everyone can do it, right? Everyone can. I mean, like we joke, like I can now code. Like I wrote something in Python, scare everyone. So you strip away all the left brain stuff. Like what's left? What's the alpha? It's humans. It's humans, connection. It's love. So I actually think this is the time for that. And Stephen, if you're offering a bet if you're offering a bet at 100 years, I'll take the under, and I'd make a very large.
I hope so. That's the pessimist in me, but the optimist. I mean, that's why I'm talking about it now every week, all the time.
We'd like it next week.
And I know that's where the generations are growing. They're growing because they're being pulled there by the gravity of of love, essentially, and people that have come before, and all the things that we built this upon, to the point where they're absolutely just going to feel the difference between a business that is about it and one that isn't about it. And the choices are going to be made more and more. And as soon as they get made by consumers and scale more and more, that's the Achilles heel to a lot of these businesses that aren't there. And they'll have to deal with it. There'll be a day of reckoning if they don't.
Amen.
We need more courageous people like yourself, who are willing to go against the grain and make a change. And if enough, do it. The collective impact of that will be substantial.
Yeah, like Mike said, and I feel the same ways too. When talking about this, is like, well, they'll say, but you can't. I don't care. I don't care.
Yeah,
this is how we're going to do it. This is how we're going to talk about it, and this is where we're going.
Exactly.
You just at some point you're just like, you're beyond just focusing on the transaction, daily throughout your life. What are you going to get at the end of your lifetime if all you're focusing on is that revenue, right?
Exactly.
There's those. What are the KMIs, the key moments of impact, right? That previous guests had talked about.
What are you going to be remembered by? What is your legacy?
Yeah.
So for those who want to create a legacy that they can actually be remembered by, something meaningful, that they had a positive impact on society, where can they find you? How do they connect with you? Let's hear from investors who want to get behind impactful businesses. Let's hear from founders who want to be courageous enough to create something impact, or who are coachable superheroes. How do they find you?
Yeah, sure. First, we're pretty active on LinkedIn. We're pretty easy to find. Founders, if you want to pitch us, sidecut.vc/pitch-us. We look at all these things. Other than that, I'm okay on DMs. You can reach us also at Michael Ma at sidecut.vc. So that's MICHAELMA at sidecut.vc. And we look at this. I try and be as accessible as I can. I am a solo GP. I do have some good people working for me. If we don't get back to you, we're human too. So just ping us like, hey, and we'll do our best to respond. And we're so excited to be part of your community. Thank you for opening up your home to us. That means the world.
Mike, thank you. Yeah, I felt like, oh man, this podcast, we could go another hour easily without a problem. Thank you for joining us today, Mike. I really appreciate all your insights. Thank you to our audience. I think one thing you said is love is a growth strategy. So maybe sit with that today after you listen to this podcast, and we'll see you next time on the Bliss Business Podcast.